This is The Wealth Puzzle with Michael Mansfield from the Lynn Group. When a part of your financial strategy is out of tune, your long-term goals, your retirement savings, and your legacy can all suffer. With many years of experience in the financial industry, Michael provides his clients and prospects with the information they need regarding Social Security, retirement income planning, wealth management, and much more. Listen in as we address your financial concerns and provide helpful solutions to put you on the path to achieving your retirement goals. And now, here is The Wealth Puzzle with Michael Mansfield.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. This is Mike Mansfield and Tana Pennington with The Wealth Puzzle. Of course, doing the intro laughing that is always expected. It's like, well, I don't get it. But anyways, hey, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Once again, we're here to chitty chat about all of the financial funness going on in the world. You know, at the Lynn Group, we do retirement income planning. We help people figure out the mystery of what they do, right? You save all of these things. You work hard your whole life. You put all your money in your 401k. You pay into Social Security. You do. But then you kind of get to the finish line and say, well, wait a second. How do I use all of this stuff effectively? And that's what we do. We help build the big picture. We help you understand how to cash flow your investments, how to become tax efficient, how to plan for your legacy, how to plan for your care, how to plan for all the what ifs. You know, what if taxes go up? What if inflation is a thing, right? That's not a thing, but it could be. So that's what we do. But, you know, Tana and I like to do this show. We like to kind of chitty chat some current events and the things that might be impacting you from a financial standpoint. But first and foremost, the failures. We should have like a failure hour segment, something like that. And so last week we invited Connor onto the show. Connor, you get these tax
He's
guys
awesome.
on here. These tax people. Come on. Anyways, so turns out, fun fact, I hate technology. And so as usual, technology is always working against us. So for all of our podcast listeners, all you folks, I got a couple responses about the show. People actually asked a couple questions and that was the end of it. No problems. For the people that go on and watch the show so that you can see our pretty faces, see the ads, or not the ads, the articles that we're putting up and all that fun stuff, you notice something, right? That you needed 3D goggles to see the show. Can you ever watch a 3D movie without the goggles and it's all like blurry? That's like maybe that's what it was. It was a trick. It was a 3D show.
Oh dear.
So, anyways, once everything was loaded and on YouTube and on Rumble and everywhere, we realized the video quality was just utter garbage. And turns out it's Connor's fault.
No,
it's Swearsy's. So the way that it works is, remember, Tan and I always have nice, high quality videos. So when Connor got on, I don't know what he did. Maybe he didn't do anything, but somehow his recording was set to like 480p. That's not even standard definition. That's like 1996 video quality, home recording quality. And unfortunately, the way that this fancy stuff works when you got people going is it reverts to the lowest quality recorder. So Connor just flubbed our whole
easy mistake
viewing experience. I expect more from him. How can I trust him to do my taxes if he can't even?
Oh, he's totally awesome.
If he can't even get his
that
video
is not a
right.
reflection on his skills.
Anyways, moving on. So I apologize for any of the video viewers who are like, what the heck? Do I need glasses? Something is different. It was unfortunately our fault. But hey, with every thing like that, you learn something new. So here we are.
Yeah.
Got a lot to talk about here. Let me pop something up here. So Tan and I were just chitty chatting. Let me do my old screen share. Let's see how we do this. click, window, and then click, and then share, and booyah. Here we go. So Perfect. This was a fun ad we came across the other day. Why do I keep saying ad instead of article?
Article.
We
don't have any ads.
I got to train myself. Maybe we should. Let's stop for a commercial break. We got to make some new videos for that. So, hey, this is interesting. Remember, my job function is to help people with their finances. I believe in provident living. I am a fiscally responsible person. I do not like leverage. I do not like debt. Now, granted, not all financial planners are like me and Tana. They say, oh my gosh, look at how cheap it is to borrow money. Why don't you borrow the cheap money and then you can invest it? You can work on the spread. It's going to be awesome. You're going to be rich. but what if?
Yeah.
I've met enough people in the what if game of using margin in their investment accounts, of running up too much debt, of saying, oh my gosh, if I take money out of my house and buy 3 more rental properties,
right.
Yeah, in some scenarios it works out really well. And you know what? In as many scenarios it doesn't. And so over the years, my attitude has been, I like my clients to be as conservative, safe, responsible as possible. Doesn't mean we don't invest, doesn't mean we don't take risks, doesn't mean we don't try to grow our assets. But from a debt standpoint, we want to be responsible. I have no problem with mortgage debt. I mean, that's kind of a necessary evil. You have to live somewhere. You have to, pay rent one way or another. But when you get into putting your Disney dream cruise on your credit card and, you want to go hit up Nordstrom so that you can be looking tight, with your friends, all cool or whatever, I'm just really not a fan of that stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm a huge advocate of paying stuff off as quickly as you can. And you use debt as a control measure. Like I have a lot of clients, for example, that because of their tax situation, because of their asset situation, what we'll do is we'll definitely use some short-term debt. Maybe we'll use a home equity line of credit to address some short-term financial needs, knowing that as soon as we get to January, we'll then use this taxable account to pay it off and quell it. So there are some certainly teeter-tottering balance effects that are unique to everybody. But in a general concept of you want a new pair of shoes and you have no money, I'm the kind of guy that says you should tread lightly on that. So anyways, no one seems to agree with me, right? Because here we go. Household debt jumps by the most in 14 years to nearly 15 trillion in the second quarter.
Ouch.
Hot diggity dog. What do we got here? So let's see here. Household debt rose 300 billion in the second quarter. Over the past 4 quarters, mortgage obligations have totaled close to 4.6 trillion, which is about 44% of home balances. But if I scroll down to this chart, you can kind of see if you're watching the show on Rumble or on YouTube, you can see the chart. So it's showing what is that household debt made out of? A huge swath of it is mortgages.
Right.
There's a little bit home equity line of credits, kind of revolving credit. You've got auto loans, you've got credit cards, you've got student loans, and then you've got other. What's other? I don't know. It's the smallest one. Who cares about other? Obviously consistently you can see the dark blue if you're looking at the chart, or excuse me, the lighter blue is crud. Now I'm torn because the darkest one is dark blue. And then the light blue
There's 3 shades of blue.
So the medium blue, I don't know. The in-between blue is the biggest one. And on the in-between blue, obviously mortgages make up a massive amount of debt. Now, granted, what's been happening in real estate the last year or two? It's been booming, right? Real estate valuations are going up.
Absolutely.
People are buying it like hotcakes. So mortgage debt is well past where it was in the 2008 time period. It's well past where it was back in pre-COVID 2020. All of that stuff is going up quite a bit. But at least from a mortgage standpoint, you see on the chart, it's pretty consistent, right? It's just always been this big thing. Whereas the light blue is the student loan debt. And you see this chart goes back to, I don't know what, 2003, 2002, something like that.
Right.
And, it's the student loan thing's been getting a little fatter and fatter over time. So that one's creeping. That's kind of an interesting one. Car loans getting a little larger than life over the years. So creeping up. Now
credit card looks the same.
Now it's ironic though, like student loans and car loans are kind of the same. But remember, Tana, nobody can afford their student loans, but they can afford their car loans.
Yeah,
even though it's about the same. Pretty weird. I also thought, like, when I was reading the article, I thought this was funny. So total debt balances jump, as I mentioned earlier, over $300 billion. The sharpest rise since the same period in 2007. 2007 is kind of a funny time period, right? The stock market had been running up pretty hard since 2003. People are feeling good. We're taking out some debt because life is awesome. And what they were doing is they were sitting on the doorstep of the Great Recession.
Yeah.
Right. The mortgages fell apart in 2008, really the end of 2007, actually, but started rolling over big time. 2008 crashed into 2009. Interesting mess. So, when people start getting overly comfortable, overly excited, feeling like they can take on more debt and all of that stuff, To me, that's naturally a red flag, because how can we be fiscally responsible if we have so many debt obligations? Now, let's talk about it, right? What are some of the things going on right now, Tana? What has the government said about your student loans, for example?
Well, they're starting to say that possibly you will not need to pay them back. So
right, and they've deferred the payments so far,
right?
And so I find this fascinating, right? So, because remember, people are sitting on more cash than they've sat in a long time. The M2 money supply, which is checking, savings, money markets kind of stuff, that's increased over 30% in the last year. People are sitting on a lot of cash. They're taking out a lot of debt. They're buying bigger houses. They're buying nicer cars. They're taking out student loans. And all of a sudden the government is saying, hey.
Yeah, good point.
Hey, you don't have to pay that stuff back.
Nah, it's terrible.
It's weird, right? Because you're sitting on more money than normal. You're not making any of your payments. And so to me, it's weird that this stuff is getting inherently bigger, because why aren't you being responsible and making your payments if you have the money?
Right.
Like that is the fundamental conundrum for me, is if the government has given you the resources that you need, like why wouldn't it be like, okay, here's the deal. We're going to give you money to not go to work, to supplement things, so that your life is normal, right? What does that mean? That you keep paying your bills. But why would they say we're going to make sure that your income is intact, and part two, you don't have to pay any of your bills either?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand the part two part.
Right.
Like, I can understand one of those things, meaning, hey, we're not giving you a bunch of extra money, however, you don't have to pay your bills.
Right, but not both.
But why'd you get both? Because what's equating to, because we see it in the M2 money supply, is that people are winning. People are sitting on more savings than they ever have. People are, they're still buying more stuff than they ever have. I mean, remember Amazon a month ago, Amazon Prime Day, $11 billion in sales. Well, sounds like people are hurting. Crazy. But everything that's sold on Amazon is a need, and that's what's important. Everyone got their toilet paper for the next crisis.
It'd be kind of interesting, like, to see what the top list of purchases are.
Oh yeah, come on! You know that 45% of it is just garbage.
Yeah.
Like my kid's last birthday, I bought 100 glow in the dark rocks. It's like, woo, gosh, solving problems. Same day delivery.
Necessities.
But that's what's funny about that stuff is the problem is sensory overload, right? We have so much access to this stuff. It is so easy. If I have a thought in my head, Tana, right now while we're talking, oh my gosh, I wonder if they're selling the classic Dumbo DVD. I'm like,
you can look it up real quick.
Talk for 2 seconds. Oh, I got it. It'll be here tomorrow. I'll be watching it. There's in the old days, you had to write it on a piece of paper, and then I'll get on my horse and go to town. And maybe I can put it on layaway. It'll show up in 6 months.
Make payments on it.
Or I make payments of 1 penny a
layaway
month on it.
Yeah. We have so much.
Technology might be our undoing here. It's like the opposite with investing. You have people that stare at their investments all day long, and then I get text messages from the usuals where they're like, what are we gonna do?
Panic.
The market's down 50 points, and then 15 minutes later, well, it's up 10. Oh, what are we doing now? It's just like, oh boy. What you do is you put your phone away and you
go enjoy life.
Go get some vitamin D outside or something. So in any case, very interesting chart. Debt is creeping up, scares the heck out of me, because I believe in fiscal responsibility. And there's 2 tiers of debt, right? There's the government, which is a train wreck. And then there's the personal, which we're looking at here. But one way or another, America is feeling fat and happy when it comes to their debt obligations. So, hey, you know what? I guess we're all doing really well, so we can just afford all this stuff. The further irony too, when you look at car loans versus student loans, which is such an alienation to me, is the average car loan statistically right now is more than, it's about the same as the average amount of student loans an individual has. So how come when I drive by the the high school, and every kid's driving a Beamer, and how come I go around town and everyone's got a nicer car than me?
Yeah, it's interesting that people put more value or are more willing to make a big, auto payment rather than
but isn't that the irony?
Loan payment.
But isn't that the irony? And you finance a car typically over like 5 or 6 years, where student loans can be for many, many, many years.
Exactly.
And so you say, I got my sweet whip though, and that's all that matters.
Well,
that student loan is bull. I mean, I had someone in the other day, a teacher, who made 60, 70,000 starting out, new teacher, and they came in to discuss their $120,000 student loan payment that might be kicking in the beginning of the year. Right. What are they going to do about it? I thought, you're going to pay it.
Make payments.
Remember when you signed
on the line
and said, I want,
right?
I want it.
Because that student loan got you that job. So that was the point of it.
I don't know. Anyways. All right. We're moving on. That was depressing. We spent a lot of time on that, actually. This one's even more interesting. So, like I said, why do we talk about this stuff? We talk about this stuff because it really does affect you. Mm-hmm. The debt loads in this country can have a impact on, number one, the financing rate, the credit rate of the United States. See, if we're AAA plus rated and we become B minus rated, that impacts the way that bonds work. That impacts a lot of the markets. And so we like to talk about this stuff because it is relevant. Another one that's kind of a hampering thing on the economy. Remember, the second quarter GDP came in a little light, decent light. It came in at like 6.5% when it should have been 8.5%. And so part of the problem is we've had this like kind of slow bump start with the economy. Yeah, things are going, earnings are good, things are moving, but there's still been this reluctance for people to fill jobs. And this was fascinating if you're looking at the show. Job openings surge above 10 million for first time ever.
Wow.
10.1 million.
That's a lot of jobs.
Yeah, yes. To that point, I'm leaving. I'm going to find a job. So
no, you're not.
Boop, 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 bye. I mean, come on. I got to be able to find a good job out there. I can work from home. It's awesome.
Yeah, a lot of opportunity. Now's the time.
So now, granted, we understand that there's nobody looking for a job, and that's the most important part, right? Everybody's fully employed, so all these job openings don't matter, right, Tana?
There's a lot of unemployment.
Is there? Let's see.
Yes.
The number was here somewhere.
I think it's around 8 million, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Labor Department said on Friday's job report that there's 8.7 million Americans looking for work. So let's put this in perspective. 10.1 million job openings. 8.7 people looking for work. Now, I realize not all of those things line up directly, but it seems like some of them might line up occasionally. And I have feared that the biggest problem in this is the word looking.
Yeah, looking. How hard are we looking?
Yeah, define looking. I mean, obviously, with the extra federal subsidies on unemployment coming off, that should help. But there was a time here when if you lived in California as an individual, you were getting $750 a week. Well, what if there's someone else in your household? You're married occasionally, so now you got $1,500 a week coming in. That's $80,000-ish a year in a county that doesn't even average that as the average income.
Right.
You got people literally making more, not working.
Right.
And then for most of the time period earlier in the year, there was no mandate from the unemployment to even look for work. It was just like collected and shelter in place. So
comfortable.
It's pretty bizarre, but I thought this was so fascinating. Over 10.1 million job openings. Like, seriously, I'm going on to Indeed, man. I'm doing it. I'm building a resume. It's funny. I was somewhere the other day with my mom. We were getting lunch, and I swear everywhere you go, they have all these signs for
we're hiring
or hiring. And so I was at a place, and it said we're looking for a dishwasher, and obviously my first thought was, dude, that'd be awesome.
I could totally do that.
Be in the back. Put in my headphones, listen to some podcasts.
Nobody bugs you.
Get some free arm exercises. Just really, scrub away at that stuff. And but what was funny was they had spelled the word dishwasher wrong, and it was missing a letter. So I just kind of chuckled at that. But
oh, that is awesome.
Maybe it's not a dishwasher. Maybe it's a French term for something else. I don't know. Dishwasher. I don't know what that is for. It's another job.
Good point.
So anyways, a lot of job openings. The good news is we hope that as things normalize, as the government doesn't allow people to need to forego things. Now it's a challenge, right? Because the president just extended evictions, meaning people don't have to pay their rent necessarily. You have mortgage forbearance, you have student loan forbearance. You can get out a lot of the stuff at the moment. As that stuff normalizes and there's a mandate that people come back to work, hopefully that's going to continue to press the economy forward. We shall see. You'd mentioned one point though, Tana, I don't know if you recall what it was earlier, of what you thought might be one reason why some people don't go back to work right away.
Oh yeah. So I was thinking, as I talk to people, some people are very, nervous, have anxiety about going back into the workforce because of, COVID and then also the Delta variant.
Yeah.
So, that's a legitimate concern.
It is. And it's interesting because I think the longer that all of this goes on, it's like having PTSD. You've created this society that is scared to death where historically they wouldn't have been.
Right.
It's, I don't want to say everyone's a hypochondriac now, but there is certainly an element of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just fascinating because I'll go to the CDC website here. Oh, I got it right here. I actually look at it. Anyone ever been to the CDC website? It is a miserable black hole of data. It is utterly disturbing. What's funny though about it is, okay, let's talk about the flu, right? The flu is the more obvious thing, the influenza. What defines a bad flu season, Tana? Is it like there's things, right? There's cases, and there's deaths.
Right.
So what do you think defines the bad flu season? Is it deaths or is it cases?
I would say deaths.
And you're correct. So when we talk about a bad flu season, it's based on the mortality rate. You say, oh my gosh, look, it's just the flu wiped out droves of people. We never really talk about cases. Ironically, when you look at kind of, I think, history on the way that viruses work, the more contagious the virus, actually the less deadly it commonly is. That's not always true, but it's commonly true because remember, if a virus is developed to be contagious, it doesn't want to kill all its hosts. It wants to spread it around a lot. And so if you kill everybody instantly, it's hard for you to maintain Mr. Virus.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But either way, what's interesting is we're having a big Delta spike. So you said that is certainly playing into the psychology of the economy right now with getting people back to work. So look here, here's the big pretty chart of daily cases. You notice something though, we had all these different waves. We had the big wave in December. We're now having a pretty healthy wave. It's technically the second biggest wave, right? If I scrizzle down into the data, we're averaging about 100,000 cases right now. But the rhetoric has changed on COVID. See, you go back to when the big spike was in the end of last year, is we were still talking about the highly deadly COVID virus. Now we're talking about the highly contagious COVID virus. The rhetoric has changed. The Delta is actually more contagious, totally true. But conversely, with vaccinated people, and the contagiousness of it, the mortality rate is significantly lower. So if I flip the website over to deaths,
wow,
you notice that from a wave standpoint, we're still in
much lower.
So we're in the second highest, wave of cases, right?
Right.
But we have a fraction of the deaths. I mean, you go back to where the by example, where the wave is at, when you look at 100,000 cases, I mean, we should be averaging, somewhere between 2,000 and 2,500 cases by comparison. Right. Granted, we have people passing away, but we're only averaging a little over 450 cases a day. So there's been a massive, massive, massive disconnect.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Between cases and mortality. Obviously, the huge blessing is vaccinated folk, right? That is really helping control it. 99.7% of the people that are passing away are unvaccinated at this point. So your risk as a vaccinated folk is negligible. And once again, the reason I bring this up is I'm not a scientist. I'm not into all of this stuff. I am concerned how this data feeds into economics. And the challenge that we have right now is we have this COVID psychology playing into economics, going back to that theme of, remember what I was talking about a second ago, all of these outstanding jobs. You are right, Tana. There is a swath of people that are just literally uncomfortable getting out there. Now, granted, if those are vaccinated people, that's unfortunate, right? Because the reality is statistics are absolutely on their side, that they're probably going to be okay. So anyways, that was depressing. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it's all good news, right?
No, I think that's really fascinating.
Got a surge of cases, but you don't have the mortality in the same respect.
Exactly. No, that's great news.
And the way that the waves go, it looks like we're probably kind of getting through this wave.
Absolutely.
Also. And, the waves exist. It's fascinating where the waves exist. If you break it down into state levels, you see it in places, like Florida and Missouri and these different places. But when you think about the science of how it works is what's happening like in Florida. It's hot and it's humid. People are all going inside and hiding together inside in the air conditioning. And that's where the cases pop up and all of that kind of stuff. That's always true with all viruses. So I don't know. What else?
That's a very good point.
Well,
I was going to mention that the annual open enrollment for Medicare is coming up. It's just around the corner. So all the agents out there are preparing. They've all been doing their certification training modules. So they're going to be, ready to go to help Medicare beneficiaries. But one thing to think about is we could always do a review on your prescription drug plan. That's the best time to switch. If you don't feel like you're getting, low copays and your monthly premium for your prescription drug plan is increasing for 2022, or if you want to know if it is, let me know. I just need a list of your medications, the strength, and then how often you take them per day, once, twice, all that good stuff. And then your preferred pharmacy. I can see if they're in network, preferred, or standard. That will determine whether you get the lowest copay or not. The other thing is if you're in a Medicare Advantage plan, that would be the best time to switch out if you're not happy with it, or if you're looking to go back to original Medicare, like a Medicare supplement plan, like Plan G or Plan F, if you are eligible for that. That's the best time to do that. If you're wanting to switch from a Medicare Supplement Plan F to a Medicare Supplement Plan G to get a lower monthly premium, then that has to be done during your birthday month. That is not something that you switch or change during the annual open enrollment that's coming up in October. So it's October 15th through December 7th. So something to think about. It's coming up soon, rather quickly. Time is flying.
Well, and you need to talk to someone that knows what they're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the value of Tana is I feel like these commercials are so scammy.
Yeah.
Constantly. Oh, you can do whatever you want, whenever you want. Just call us.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. Right. You've got limited options. You got to kind of do it right the first time. You need to stress test it and change things around when it makes sense. But that's what Tana's job is. She's here to help you guys out with that fun stuff. So don't hesitate to call us. In fact, here, I'll put up the banner. Where's the banner? I forget how to do that.
And if you're new to Medicare, the annual open enrollment has nothing to do with you being new to Medicare. When you're new to Medicare, just turning 65, you have your own special enrollment period. It's actually the initial enrollment period. So that's totally different. You don't have to worry about that coming back around again. You do get to switch during a specific time period separate from that open enrollment.
All right. Well, if you have questions about that, give us a call. 805-500-7035. You can visit our main website, thelindgroup.com. Lind is spelled Lynd. And as always, Tana, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks for the info. And we will be back same time, same place of sorts next week.